Okay, recording is now enabled, as are the captions. So welcome everyone to our weekly call. I hope you had a pleasant time last Monday when I was enjoying the delights of sort of the area in and around Lake Garda in a very sunny Italy, which I would certainly recommend to anyone as a nice place for a late summer family break. Okay, if I share my screen, which I've now done, just by way of a reminder, if that's come on. Yep, it seems to have done now. Okay, so in terms of the agenda to our call this week, and thank you, obviously, particularly this week, to the call sponsors DNS-OARC. We're going to do in a moment a preview of the forthcoming OARC 45 meeting, which is coming up early next month now. Gosh, yeah, time really is flying. So Phil and Willem, who both of them have been on the call before at various times, they're going to be talking about the OARC 45 meeting. Phil in his capacity as the DNS-OARC President, and Willem as a member of the Programme Committee. So rather than wearing his normal NLNet Labs hat. And then, as always, I'll just touch on some recent developments from the news, a few forthcoming sort of deadlines, etc., and time permitting. At the end, we'll see if there's anything else that anyone wants to talk about. So that's the plan for the call. Hopefully that makes good sense to everyone. It shouldn't be a surprise. So without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen so we can see each other rather than hide behind PowerPoint. And welcome, Phil and Willem. Really looking forward to hearing about the sort of agenda and plans for the forthcoming OARC 45 meeting. So over to the two of you.
Well, hi, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, for joining today, and thanks again for having us on the call. It's becoming a little bit of a tradition that when DNS-OARC has an upcoming event, we try to do a little bit of a preview of the program. We've just published the actual agenda. I think we have a preview of the agenda out there. Willem can correct me. As far as I'm concerned, considering the sign-up numbers accelerating. Yes. For those of you, I see a lot of familiar names here in the DNS community and peripheral, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but just for those of you who are not 100% familiar with DNS-OARC, OARC as it's often shortened, it's a membership organization that's 20-ish years old at this point. Started out of ISC as a data sharing program / trust group, and more or less the watering hole of the DNS community at this point. Although we do more than drink water, we also have great events. Have a Mattermost server with 1,000-ish signed up, but I would be lying if I'd say everybody was active at the same time. About 100, 150 people are regularly active there. Lots of good discussions, and this is all public and available for free. And then there's a member side of OARC, which I'm happy to say I see quite a lot of names here on the call today from our member community. Yeah, we also run the DNS operations list and yeah, a number of other resources for the community. So this is not about advertising, but if you want to contribute and join the cause, you're always welcome to check if your organization is already a member of DNS-OARC, and you're welcome to join. I cannot speak of fantastic benefits other than you're supporting the security and stability of the DNS and the operational, what do you call it? Operational transparency of it. Anyway, the reason that we're on this call today is to talk about the upcoming OARC 45, which is going to be, this is our 45th workshop and conference. We call it a workshop. Well, it's a conference with a peer-reviewed, or rather committee-reviewed submission process. I have Willem here with me today from NLNet Labs, who is one of the members of the program committee. And OARC 45 is going to be taking place in Stockholm on the 7th and 8th of October, so exactly 1 month away. well, okay, 29 days since it's September. And it's going to be packed with, I think, 22 talks over 2 days.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And there'll be a little bit more from Willem on that in a second. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all you need to know. It's 2 days full of DNS talks and interaction with the rest of the DNS community. So I think, Willem, you can tell us a little bit about the program and the submissions and the topics.
Yes, that's okay. Yes, I'm standing in now for Kathy Almonds, who is the chair of the program committee. But she couldn't make it because she is celebrating her 40th wedding anniversary by taking a cruise on the Danube. So therefore, it's me. And yeah, but we have a really nice program committee, actually. A lot of diversity. There are researchers, operators, developers. I'm actually combining all those three categories myself, I think. But yeah, indeed, we had so this is my first year in the program committee this term, but I have been in the program committee before. Not last year, but the year therefore for 3 years. So I have a bit of experience with it. And I have to say that this time we had a exceptional high number of submissions and all of really high quality as well, which is perhaps also not surprising given all the other DNS events that will happen around DNS-OARC, which I suppose we will talk about a bit later on. And but yeah, from we had really 43 really high quality submissions, and we could accept only 22. So 21 didn't make the cut, but you know, they can be polished up for the org 46 or for the DNS working group, which will be held 2 weeks after in the RIPE 91 DNS working group, for which I'm also one of the co-chairs, by the way. And also, we have asked some of the talks that didn't make the cut to resubmit for a lightning talk, as we will have 6 slots for lightning talks. So, Andrew, I made a Venn diagram of all the topics that we have for this org. I made it this afternoon. And yeah, here it is. So with the program committee, and we always try to organize talks that have something in common in the separate sessions, so to say. But it's not really perfect because its talks are, of course, not cannot be organized sequentially like that. So instead, I've tried to organize it in this Venn diagram, and I can say that so. Also, I cannot compare this really with other org events, as this is the first time we did this, or I did this extensively. But I can say that this time we have really a focus on hands-on practical and operational relevant talks. And you can see this already because in the Venn diagram, the general topic that has most talks is analysis and war stories. And number second is tools that you can use yourself in your DNS operations. And on third place, one of the overlapping topics with 7 talks is DNSSEC. And then we have a shared fourth place with 3 talks with a group on which is about protocol and research. and a group about anycasting. And then there are four more groups that have 2 talks. One interesting that stands out to me is that we had 2 independent submissions about the ccTLD.pg, which is the ccTLD for Papua New Guinea. But they started doing, or they have a new registry system based on open source tools, and they also started signing their top-level domain. And apparently in a multi-signer solution, because we had another submission from one of the operators that participated in that multi-signer solution. Oh yeah, so I don't know. I will post a link to the schedule in the chat. I don't think I should go over all the individual talks. You can have a look yourself in the schedule. Perhaps it's worth mentioning that the first one is sort of the host keynote talk is about DNS Tapir, the DNS Threat and Privacy Internet Research tool, which is used to do DNS query analysis of resolvers in Sweden, and it also consists of only of open source, etc. People can use that tool themselves as well to analyze resolver queries. So yeah, that's I think what I want to cover for the program. I guess I can take questions at this moment, or would you like to defer that to the end?
Feel free if anyone's got any immediate questions. No problem if you want to jump in. Either put something in the chat or raise your virtual hand or just unmute, talk, whichever is easiest for you. Anything immediately springs to mind. I have to say, without having sort of looked through the agenda in advance, I would never have guessed that there will be 2 independently submitted talks on something to do with Papua New Guinea. That wouldn't have sprung to mind at the top of my list of likely scenarios for things.
Yeah. What are the odds? Yeah,
it's quite impressive.
Yeah.
It's definitely a fantastic lineup. And I have to say that already before the timetable was published, before actually the list of selected topics was published, we already had close to 100, around 90 in-person attendees signed up with about 5 or 6 remote. We've now crossed 110 in person. I wouldn't say that, I don't want to, we'll know where we're heading, but pre-COVID, we've had OARC events with 150 people, which probably by measure of a lot of conferences doesn't seem very big. On the other hand, for a tribe of the DNS specialists and how large that gene pool is, I would say it's a pretty good event already, and we're really looking forward to see a lot of people there. It's looking really, really good.
Yeah, and as you probably see a comment in the chat from David, just commenting on the fact that really, given you accepted roughly 50% of the submissions of the program committee, Willem, that sort of suggests the bar's being raised on the quality of the submissions all the time, which is also excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it made it your job really hard, but in a good way.
It did. But luckily, we have the program committee is really a nice bunch, and we are doing this together. We're basically scoring all the talks and not scoring the talks if we somehow involved with one, and then it's just it's the highest scoring group that makes a program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see Phil's comment in the chat. I don't know how you'd know that none were AI generated.
We're presuming. We're saying just the quality. Is this an artifact of the fact that now people are just generating abstracts, and no, it's actually seems to be human generated. But yeah, it's a very good level of submissions. I think there's very large number of talks. There's enthusiasm and definitely very much operational and research focus on the DNS and still operationally relevant, which is
Yeah.
super satisfying.
Just on that point, not only would I not have guessed that you'd be likely to get two submissions linked to Papua New Guinea, I would have guessed that you would have had a large number of submissions linked in some way to AI, just building on your quote. But in reality, from looking at the sort of diagram, it looks like there's only one with an overt link to large, or two, okay.
Two, yes, there are two, yes.
Well, that's against the trend of a lot of conferences I've been to recently, but in a good way, in my opinion, because often it seems that AI is shoehorned into a topic to make it more appealing to the program committee, whereas clearly in this case, if that was a tactic of anyone, it failed miserably because you've not picked those out this time, which I think is also commendable.
Yeah, we have two talks. One is about the state of large language models in detecting DNS abuse. And the other one is lessons learned from the Web3, as they name it themselves, which is artificial intelligence. I think based on
Isn't Web3 Bitcoin? I mean, or well,
oh yeah,
blockchain.
Blockchain. Ah, okay. Then I guess I made a mistake there. So that then the AI is actually on the very last position with only one talk. Yes.
Yeah. To be fair, Willem, you can be forgiven for not having memorized the contents of every one of the presentations. I think that's not unreasonable, given that there's a fair number of them.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, hopefully that's generated some interest from people, and well, as we heard, Phil, already a good number of registrations, but it's clearly not too late to register if anyone now has their appetite whetted and thinks that will be a good thing. But is there anything more that you wish to tell us about the program more generally?
Willem or, oh well.
Either.
No, I don't know
Okay.
if there's. Yep.
It's well, I can say on the practical side of things. So yes, it's still time to sign up. You still can get tickets for, I can say hurry up before the tickets run out. I don't know that we're going to close at 150 or not. It really depends. But we do have some commitments with the hotel we have to honor. We've got a pretty good venue not too far from the center of Stockholm, and which, early October can be a very nice place to be. And one thing we do want to mention, of course, is there'll be a great social event on the 7th at the evening of the first day, which is why we usually start not too early on the 8th. And we might even have another social on the 8th in the evening, have to be confirmed, because on the 9th, NetNod is having their 20th edition of their tech meeting, which means there's going to be 3 days of events. And if we look a little bit backwards, we actually have more than a week of DNS events starting on the 1st and 2nd. The center folks are going to have their R&D meeting, which is a closed door meeting for members only. But for those of you who are attending, that's one reason to be in Stockholm early. And then there's going to be a Friday where nothing is planned. And during the weekend, there's a DNS hackathon, which is still taking signups. Happening Saturday and Sunday at Internet Stiftelsen at the Internet Swedish Foundation. Already 26, 27 signups. A few names from this crowd here seem to be on the DNS hackathon. To attend this basically, code and eat and hang out event. And that leaves Monday free for having a breath of air. There's going to be quite a few side meetings on the OARC side before the OARC conference. I think Deleg working group and a few other people are planning to meet up on Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to have DNS-OARC, and then Thursday NetNode. And then for those who are still standing, it's Friday and the weekend. So it's like 9 days of DNS-ish and network-related events. So it's a really good reason to be in Stockholm if you haven't yet signed up. So yeah, it's definitely going to be one of the bigger events, I think, in that would say in that operational corner of the internet for a while, and we're really looking forward to it. I hope we'll see many of you there.
Yeah, I'm now also remembering something which might be worth mentioning, that we have 6 slots for lightning talks,
Yeah.
5 minutes each. So if you have a good topic, then this could be a good opportunity to present it.
Yep.
And
Lightning talks are
usually
not real. Oh, sorry.
sorry, you leave those open. Well, it's first come, first served, I think, Willem, but particularly
Yes.
until the day one of the meeting, if there's still any open slots.
Yeah, we leave the deciding which lightning talks will make it until the very last moment, so that we can give preference to actual development or recent developments, etc. Which I can imagine that there could come something out of the DNS hackathon, which is the weekend before the DNS-OARC. So yeah,
Yeah, or even I guess since you mentioned the side meetings, maybe let's say the DELEG
yeah,
or one of the other side meetings even.
yes.
Willem, lightning talks because we do have, okay, so the thing about DNS-OARC meetings is that we do not do remote presentation, and that surprises a lot of people. We've had some bad experience with spotty connection, so we do pre-recorded presentation, and unfortunately, I don't think lightning talks are an option because we don't have audio duplex or video duplex for that. That is correct.
Yes, that's correct. It's all in person, yes, for the lightning talks. Yeah.
Yep. So I think that's pretty much all the time we're going to waste on your agenda today for talking about OARC 45. I mean,
Could I ask a question?
sure, Alison.
This
Hi.
is Allison. Hi. I'm not going to be able to attend, unfortunately, but I understood that there is a in-person tabletop discussion possibility with themes. Is that still being planned?
There's theme tables, yes. Rebecca Petro, or administrative coordinator, she's the point person on this. So she's coordinating a number of table topics around different, yeah, I don't think there's anything, and it doesn't have to be DNS specific. Willem, you have more info?
Yes, there's one topic in particular which I do know about, which is the DS automation with which Peter Thomason will present about. And then after his presentation, there will be a lunch table reserved to discuss that topic in particular. Yeah.
I don't think we have my colleague from Quad 9, Babak, on the call, but he was looking into doing one on authoritative ADOT, authoritative DNS over TLS as well.
That is correct. I heard about this. I think I don't have the details, but I do remember that it was mentioned. I can check that with internally and see if it's been. I mean, it was submitted, and I don't know. I assume it was green lighted, but I don't have the details right now, Alison. I can get back to you on this if you want.
Okay, that would be great. I mean, Babak is the person, but behind the scenes, since we can't attend, Sarah Dickinson and I are helping to kind of get that to move along because we'd like to collect people's information on that, keep people's thoughts and update around that. And I think Babak will probably also go to the hackathon, but I'm not sure. Maybe Simon has more info about that.
Yep, I can. Anyway, I'll follow up on the ADOT stuff, and I'll let you know. In terms of who's attending the hackathon, I have the list here. I guess it's up to date. I'm not seeing the name, but yeah, it's still time to sign up, by the way. And yeah, otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, see some discussions in the chat about DELEG. I thought that was about this, but it's about something else. Okay.
Yeah, and I hadn't realised Lars Johan is actually a native of Stockholm, by judging from your comment. So a de facto host in that case, clearly.
He seems to be there every time I show up in Stockholm, so I'm assuming he's a standard fixture.
I'm indeed my heritage in Stockholm actually goes back 5 generations, I think. So I'm a true Stockholmian, yes. And I look very much forward to welcome you all to Stockholm. I hope weather will be on our side. You never know in October. It can be crispy and perfect or it can be, overcast and dreary. It's too early to tell at this time. But I really look forward to seeing you and to all the DNS meetings in my hometown. Thanks.
Fantastic. I'm sure the sun will be shining on the OARC meeting.
Oh, not too much. Then we'd rather be outdoors.
Can we hear more about the DNS bigwigs in your hometown?
Oh, the VIPs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see a few comments in the chat about Deleg, and I think Ralph has helpfully confirmed that that is moving on, certainly including on the ITF mailing list. So the Deleg mailing list on the ITF certainly progress. So no doubt there will be good discussion in that side meeting on the Monday for anyone that wants to get up to speed. On that in a little more detail, which is another reason to sign up, of course. And although I think all the presentations are in person, it is possible, Phil, for remote access. Is it for attendees? Can you join remotely? Yes.
Yes, you can join. I mean, so basically what happens is for OARC, all OARC meetings, we're a nonprofit, OARC Inc., which is the staff side of, the OARC community. All the recordings of the presentations are going to be online for free, usually a few weeks, sometimes a little bit longer, depending on, the challenges we can have. But normally post-production goes really quick, so everything's online for free. But if you want to attend in person, you have to buy a ticket. And if you want to attend remotely in real time, you also have to buy a ticket. It's discounted. It's around $200 for remote participation. And you get a link and to attend, and you can join through the Mattermost server. You can interact with the people, and of course you get a Zoom link to be following the talks as they happen. And it's quite interactive, even though it's remote. Of course, the social is not as fun when you're remote, but at least the conference part of things is pretty dynamic. And remote participants often say that this is one of the better events to attend remotely, short of being able to join in person, of course.
Yeah, so if anyone can't make it to Stockholm but is attracted by the excellent program that Willem outlined, then sign up to attend remotely instead. As Phil said, you won't get the delights of the social, but everything else, you certainly get all the good content, which is fantastic. Right, so unless there are any other questions or comments on that, hopefully that's given everyone plenty of good reasons to sign up, if you haven't done so already, to attend the meeting in Stockholm, and enjoy the delights of Lars Johan sort of paying for all the bar bills throughout the week. I think that's broadly what he was suggesting he was going to do. I may have misheard slightly, but I think that was the gist of it. He's hurriedly looking for the unmute button, but too late. Anyway, on that note, moving quickly on. Thank you for that, seriously, Phil and Willem. Looks like a really good program.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much for having us.
Right, well, let's move on and just briefly talk about a few other things that happened through the week. So let me flip back as my PC wakes up. It's running a bit slowly today. It's had a week off. It's clearly enjoyed itself while I've been away in the sunshine. Okay, so in terms of things that happened through the week, a really interesting article published on the APNIC blog on the discovery of designated resolvers in a recent APNIC, I should say blog post, not log post. That's an entirely different thing, Richard. It was just a review of DDR. It highlighted just in the conclusion, an interesting point about the degree of centralization present in the ecosystem at the moment, which hopefully is just will reduce over time. But it's the first thing I've seen published recently on the actual sort of use and user experience of DDR. So RFC 9462, for those of you that are interested in such things, and which was published just under 2 years ago. I think it was November in 2023. I'm going to reach out to the lady that authored the article at Core Labs, Yevhenia, I think. I haven't butchered the name too much, but to see if she can come onto the call and also find out whether she's intending to do something similar for DNR as well, the other discovery protocol in due course. It'd be good to know if that's in the works. But as I say, ideally I'll have her on the call to perhaps share some of her findings in a bit more detail, just to bring the blog post to life. But in the meantime, certainly recommend you read that. I also thought it was a really interesting article, quite a short one, from the team at Cisco Umbrella, just sharing some of their experiences running the system at Black Hat and some other conferences over the last several years. So they shared some of their learnings from that, as well as a couple of trends that they've noted from traffic analysis. So that's worth a look, and I think hats off to anyone that's prepared to run the IT systems at something like Black Hat. That's as I put my comment, it's definitely not an undertaking for the faint-hearted. As I'm sure their system is very thoroughly tested by some of the more enthusiastic participants. And then finally on the screen there was an interesting take on the sort of forthcoming sort of global TLD application program that's coming out of ICANN for the next round of GTLDs, with a suggestion from Enrique of Acara to for brand owners to consider applying for their own unique GTLDs, rather as I think Amazon, amongst others, has done in the past. Various other bits and pieces. I won't go through all of these. Another interesting post, by the way, is the first one there, though, from Joe Rees-Jones, just making the case for moving from ISP-operated DNS resolvers to ideally a self-hosted resolver. He made some interesting points. Some of them I think were slightly iffy, like you ought to move from ISP-operated ones because they don't support encrypted DNS, whereas in actual fact Comcast was one of the first to support encrypted DNS, and also one of the first to commit to not logging or leveraging anyway the data, which I think was another criticism he made of ISP-operated DNS resolvers. But nevertheless, his sort of points about self-hosting I think were pretty interesting. And then moving on, I'll plug for my home country. There's a UK IGF meeting. There's going to be one at the end of this year, in mid-December. Just so after obviously the global IGF conference, which was in Lillestrøm a couple of months ago, but by then we should be getting, I hope, to the tail end of the UN review of internet governance more generally. So it'd be interesting to see what's covered on there. And then bottom one on the screen, just note for the record that the Oxford Information Labs have decided to sunset their DNS Research Federation initiative after I was actually quite shocked to see it run for a whole 4 years. It still seems quite a recent innovation, but it's sort of concluded the program of research that they'd undertaken. So they just announced last week that they were sunsetting the program, albeit that their research will remain available on their site. A whole bunch of other stuff. Probably I don't have time to go through this, but plenty of interesting bits and pieces that also caught my eye. Just reading through all the sort of news and that. So I'll leave you to peruse those at your leisure, as there's far too much to go through on this call, but there might be the odd thing on there that attracts your attention. Perhaps more usefully, a few impending deadlines. So for example, if you want to be part of an European Union AI scientific panel, the applications for that close on the 14th. If you want to submit a talk to RIPE 91. The deadline for that's the 15th, including, since Willem shamelessly plugged that as well earlier, any proposals for the DNS working group session at RIPE, which I think normally is on the Thursday morning. I might be wrong with that. I'm sure Willem will correct me if I'm wrong, but it's certainly.
This time it's on the Thursday morning, yes.
Is it normally on the
But-
Wednesday actually rather than Thursday? But
It used to
Anyway.
be on the Wednesday, yes.
yes, yeah, but it's Thursday anyway. This time is
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Thanks, Willem. So, yeah, which
And Willem, are you still looking for a co-chair replacement?
Yes.
So mention that.
Yeah, that's right. So this will be my last co-chairship for the DNS working group. So if anyone wants to be a DNS working group co-chair, then please send an email not to the list, but to the DNS working group chairs email alias. You can see I will copy paste that email address in the chat. If you're interested to do that, then please send us a message, and at some point we will present on the list all the candidates, and the selection process will start.
is there a deadline for that, or is it just as soon as possible?
There is a deadline which is a bit later than the call for proposals deadline, but I don't know by
We can
head.
sort that out after the meeting. I'll put it in there with the notes so that just as a reminder for everyone. Yeah, that's a good call too. I mentioned that's Tailed, so thank you for the prompt. I'd forgotten that was also running at the moment.
So the deadline is the 28th of September.
Okay.
To indicate that if you are willing to become a DNS working group co-chair, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll put if you pop a link in the chat if you find it, then I'll certainly include that with the
Yes,
recording afterwards. Okay, so hopefully there'll be plenty of people on this call that would want to do that. To step into into your shoes, Willem, and why not? Okay, so you'll also see the ITF super early registration cutoff is also on the 15th. So quite a few deadlines on the 15th of September. So if you're planning to go to Montreal, that's the cutoff for the sort of cheapest rate, and then it just ramps up. I think for in person, a couple of $100 or so to the early rate, and then again just before the meeting to the standard rate, increases again. So various things there. And then the last one I mentioned, as it's also relatively soon, if you're thinking of going to the RSA conference in San Francisco, that's the cybersecurity themed conference, which is really excellent. A different size conference. Last year, I think there were 44,000 of us apparently in person. If you pre-register by the 19th, just to add your name to the mailing list, then you save $100 on the registration fee by pre-registering. So just for your information. And then there's other sort of deadlines coming up later, which I'll circulate the slides afterwards just as a reminder for those as well. Okay, and then a whole bunch of events running through. I mean, we talked about ARC 45. We've got the IAB W3C workshop on age-based restrictions on content access in London, roughly coinciding with OARC. We've talked about the NetNod tech meeting. Morg is coming up, then RIPE, etc., etc. So a whole bunch of stuff in the next couple of months or so. So sort of peak conference season where is something which we're about to enter into, and if you're in Asia, you're already roughly halfway through APNX 60 in Da Nang, and lucky you, because I know from when we had the OARC meeting in Da Nang alongside the ICANN DNS symposium, that was a fantastic location for a conference a year or so back. And then finally, in terms of the topics for this call, originally we had so ADOT and ADOC scheduled in for the 22nd. It won't be on the 22nd. It might be next week instead, or it might be later in the year. I'll just be swapping messages with Sarah to reschedule that, but if possible, trying to get that in before the OARC meeting because it could be quite useful. It was certainly a topic of interest at a side meeting at the last IETF meeting, so be good to just talk about that some more prior to OARC if we can. So we're trying to sort that out at the moment. So anyway, I'll confirm that over the next few days, so you know what we're going to cover on the call next Monday. And then we've got various other things coming up over the coming couple of months or so. Okay, so I'll stop there. We do have a little bit of time, so let me stop sharing and see if there's anything anyone wants to pick up on that we've covered over the last little while, or indeed anything else that's on your minds that you want to talk about. And if so, if it's easiest, pop it in the chat. If you're somewhere where you can talk, then feel free to unmute and talk instead. And I can see that Ed has popped something in the chat about a registration operations workshop in late September, which I'll add that as well, Ed, to the list for future reference. So anything that's on anyone else's mind? Yeah, Lars Johan, you're about to explain the bar bill that you're going to be covering in Stockholm, I hope. Possibly not. I'm guessing not.
This being Sweden, there will be so many zeros on that bar bill that you cannot imagine.
There.
No, I actually have a very simple question for you. Is there any chance that you will be sharing the slides from this meeting with all the useful links and stuff on it?
Yeah, I will send those out to the mailing list. If you're, I can't remember if you're on the mailing list or if you're not, ping me an email with your email and I'll make sure that you get them as well. But yeah, anyone that's on the mailing list will get those, as well as a link to the recording after the call. And yes, a good point about the cost of drinks in Stockholm. I'd forgotten about that. But
could be worse. Could be Norway.
Indeed. It can always be worse.
What was I going to say? If anything, also, I just want to add a big thanks to the program committee for OARC 45. I mean, Willem and Kathy and the others did a tremendous amount of work. Barely had to pull out the cattle prod to get them to proceed on reviewing the talks. I think they were not expecting that influx of talks, and of course to the staff at OARC for we're a smaller team than we were. I think it was earlier, who was it that mentioned that, yeah, you have challenges you don't expect when you join an organization. Well, oh, it's Simon. You know, at OARC, we're trying to do more with less right now. And it's definitely a lot of work that our team is putting in right now for this event. And we've already got 46 lined up in Edinburgh next year. And we're hopefully soon going to be able to have a date for 47, continuing this tradition. And it wouldn't be possible without the members. A lot of you are here. And of course, with the program committee who keeps the conference and the workshop relevant. So thank you to all of my staff and to my program committee for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Also, thanks to the staff and especially Rebecca, who also helped a lot in composing the program.
That's right.
Yeah. Should say yeah, how many people are on the program committee? Alex is asking. Is it about 7? Well,
yeah, eight people, including the board liaison. Yeah.
Yeah. So reviewing that number of talks or proposed talks then would have kept you busy for a little while.
Absolutely.
Good to know. I should say also on a completely flippant point, I thought Norway was an expensive place to go to until I went to Reykjavik. Iceland makes Norway seem actually quite reasonably priced. Don't do the conversion back to your home currency, otherwise you wouldn't bother leaving the hotel room.
Captive audience.
This is a little competition we have ongoing between the Nordic countries.
Yeah, well, from my experience, when you go to a happy hour in the hotel and the microbrewery in the hotel, the beer is in sterling about £11 for a drink, and that's in the happy hour. And the stuff that's brewed on site, then you realise it's actually quite expensive, even relative to Norway, or indeed.
Compared to other drugs, it's still cheap, right?
I suppose there's always that. Right. Okay. Well, on that happy note, thank you again, Willem and Phil. That's much appreciated. Hopefully, you'll see some more registrations flooding in and more members joining to help fund the operating costs for an excellent organisation. Thanks, everyone. Hope that was interesting, and look forward to seeing you next week. And as I said, I'll share whether with Sarah will be joining us to talk about ADOT and ADOC, or will it be a different topic for the call next week. So look forward to seeing you all then. Have a great week in the meantime.
Question from Alexi? I don't know.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank DNS-OARC one more time for sponsoring these meetings or these calls.
Well,
yes, indeed. Thank you, Phil, and the team for doing that.
All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are.
Thanks all.
Cheers all. Bye.
Bye.